Well, I have done that. I have gotten going. Oh, we're
It's
live. I'd like to get going right now.
is
From
it time to go?
live from the West Coast, season of Vinnie in Seattle. I'm Mikey in LA, and welcome to Wednesday. We're going to take it on.
Is it Wednesday? Does it seem like a Wednesday to you?
No, it feels like a Friday to me, to tell you the truth.
That's kind of weird, but it does feel yeah, it's out of place. It doesn't feel like a middle day of the week.
Well, it's the Pope thing, I think. We don't have a Pope, so we can't tell where the balance of existence is.
I think
Is
that's
it
a
here?
valid
It's a little here. It's a little there. I can't say.
I think that's a very valid point. I've been watching I did get up early this morning to watch
The
uh
conclave.
the conclave really doesn't get going until tomorrow. I mean, today's kind of the everybody show. Today's like the media day. Today everybody kind of shows up.
But you have to show up.
You got to show up. If you get called, you got to show up. They get their room keys, they get their goodie bag, and
Did they have a commissioner? Do the Cardinals have a
yes,
commissioner?
they do. He's called. I forget what they call him, but there is a commissioner, and they have the goodie bag, and in the goodie bag, um, some of the things that
Swag.
you will
Vatican
find
swag, like
in the
like
goodie
a
bag.
Popener.
It is
The
a
Popener, of course.
they have a lot of these left, and this is the JP2 Popener. So it's a great little instrument you can use to open Pepsi bottles, Coke bottles, beer bottles. Not so good for
Manischewitz.
wine bottles.
No, I was just wondering about Manischewitz. Yeah.
Yeah, not so good for wine bottles. And this year they've added, or this conclave around, they've added the red crucifix. We have to get into
The
modern times. And so this pretty crucifix in a red enamel with, of course, the body of Christ uh, lying on it, or I guess he's standing on it, or he's
he's
nailed to it.
fastened to it. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
There you go.
yes,
He's nailed
do it.
to it.
Yes, that's the right. That's what I was looking for. You get one of those in the goodie bag too. So, and there's different kinds of hosts and things like that, different kinds of breads and wines and things like that you can take back to the parish and get some ideas on what you want to buy from the
What about nice cheese and
White
salami?
House.
Do you get a selection of cheese and salami?
Well, no, I don't know if you get salami in there. I know you get wine and you get bread because it's the tenets of the whole thing is to get the wine and the bread. So you get that. I think you get an iPad. You get a new iPad. Apple has said we'll chip in on this and we'll get people a new iPad. Get the so they can keep in contact and various colognes from Italian designers. You got to have that.
No. Oh, there's
Yeah,
nothing
you
like a
got to have
cardinal
the
with too
cologne.
much.
And
Nothing like a cardinal with too much cologne.
I understand that Gucci has even contributed body bath salts and some other things that basically the goodie bag is what do we have in the closet? I mean, you worked at enough radio
Well,
stations. What do we have in the closet?
cheesy prizes.
There's probably in every goodie bag. There's probably 2 or 3 Capitol Records CDs that they've had, with the hole punched in them that they've had sitting around for, one Engelbert Humperdinck, one Julio Iglesias, and one.
Peggy Lee.
No, who's the Brazilian guy? Is he Brazilian? No, I don't know if he's Brazilian, but Prado, the guy who made the La Novia very popular in the
I'm so
'60s.
I'm so sorry, but my car backed up over you.
I actually saw a Prado yesterday. I was driving up I-5, heading north, and there was a Toyota Prado, which is a right-hand drive Japanese version of a Land Cruiser. I think it's
Huh.
maybe a Brazilian version. I'm not 100% sure, but it's a right-hand drive Land Cruiser, and it was just driving up I-5, a Toyota Prado. Hadn't seen one
Well,
before.
going along like it owned the place.
Yeah. Oh no, it's beautiful, beautiful thing to see because I love seeing cars that I've never really seen before. Or am not familiar with. There's a certain thrill about that. Now, speaking about
In fact,
thrills, Mike.
yes, Will Clark has done something.
No, no. Well, no. Has anybody heard of Will Clark?
Yeah, he's around in preseason.
He was, huh? Okay. Um,
They get him liquored up, and he says improper things on KMBR.
which I always like. I always think is a good thing. Is
You're right.
KMBR business?
Not what you would call a going concern.
Okay, so it's not flying along.
I don't think they can even figure out where their studios are. They were going to move them to Daly City. They were going to move them to San Jose or Santa Clara. They ended up, I think, staying where they were.
Which was 55 Hawthorne Street, if I remember right.
Used to be.
They managed the trick of moving. They were 55 Green, and then they went from 55 Green to 55 Hawthorne.
55 Green was the best.
Yeah, Green. Yeah, Green was that was that time.
Yeah, they had their own neighborhood.
That was the 80s, the middle 80s and 90s, early 90s. That was the best time for that whole section down there because you had all the radio
Frank
stations.
Dill and all the guys. Yeah.
Yeah, you had and you also had KGO was in the big building. It was right on Front Street, 900 Front. And then you had KFOG at 55 Green. You had Cable at 1025 Battery.
Right in the heart of the matter.
KPIX at 9 something or 8 something,
855
Battery.
Was it 855? Okay.
Yeah, there was 855. You had KNEW was on Broadway, right?
Right at the corner. So was KSAN.
Yeah, KSAN was right at the corner there. So everything, then you had Coit was up the block and on Maiden Lane. So all the big heavy hitters, radio stations and television stations were kind of in the same place. You had the 2 out of the 3 big 3 were right there. KGO and KPIX, and then Kron was over on Van Ness. I don't know how the heck they
always. Well, they were there for years before KGO moved off Golden Gate.
Right, because that used to be the media ghetto at one time. That strip of Van Ness, because NBC was in that building on O'Farrell and
Van Ness?
No, it wasn't Van Ness. It was all the way down toward Union Square. It was the big radio studio there. Channel 44 was in there.
The huge NBC studios from
you could tell it was an studio because it had the huge front lobby, and it looked like 30 Rock.
Had super high ceilings, so they used to have orchestras in there.
Right. Anyway, I did a very manly thing today, Michael.
Tell me about it, please.
I can't believe in all of this time that I've been on the face of this earth, I never, ever walked into a Harbor Freight. You know what a Harbor Freight store is?
Yeah, they sell cheap tools.
It's a tool store. It's probably America's most popular chain tool store.
It must be because they advertise a lot.
Yeah, not to be confused with a chain Tolstoy. But
no, that's different.
I had never been in one. I love tool stores, but for some reason I had until this morning at about 8:30 avoided going into a Harbor Freight. And I
What brought
needed a
about this special visit? Oh,
yeah,
a hammer.
hammer. And I went around the corner, and from my new house, and there's a Harbor Freight there. So I said, "What the heck? No time like now to go to check it out." And I
Did
went
you
in.
did you say to anybody, if I had a hammer, I would hammer this morning.
Well, I had a
Then
hammer by the
later I
time
can hammer this evening.
as a
See?
matter of fact, I got a hammer with four different heads on it, so that you could, if you needed a soft hammer, you had a soft head. If you need a hard head to hit like a nail or something, you can screw that on.
So it's the
It's a
Severus
very
hammer.
ingenious invention. I never saw one before, and it was like $8. So I
Four
said,
hammers
"This
in
is
one.
I don't need much more hammer than this. I
Chances
don't
are
need
there won't be any more of all
I
the
don't need
hammer
a
challenges that
hammer
await
to hit
me.
somebody's head. I just need a hammer to hit something into the ground. So this is perfect." And so I wound up buying the hammer, and they also had magnetic clips with the kind of like the alligator clip on it that I
The
needed, and I got
picture of
3 of
Trini
those
Lopez.
for $2. It was a highly successful trip. I'll go back and spend some time and walk around and see. They had some groovy looking stuff, but I got to tell you, I was very, very impressed with Harbor Freight.
Was there any tool with a picture of Trini Lopez on it? Was he saying ooh, ooh?
They should have had his face, I would think, somewhere in the hammer department, but they have a whole aisle dedicated to hammers. Now, I've been going to Sears tool department when Sears was going for years. I would spend hours in the Sears discount outlets looking for tools
Just looking for the right thing,
because I'm a tool guy. I love tools.
something that strikes your fancy. How can you be a tool guy who loves tools and not have a hammer?
Well, I have a complete set of master mechanic tools, but they are, like many other of my things, back in Pittsburgh. I got to get there and get my stuff.
Where you are not, yeah. Pittsburgh just made a football trade this morning.
Did they? What did they do? I didn't
They
see.
got a running back from Dallas. I don't know who they traded.
I was out busy. I was busy at the Harbor Freight at the tool place.
Absolutely.
Where, by the way, the brand name of the tools that they carry at Harbor Freight is Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh Hammers.
Yes, Pittsburgh hammers, Pittsburgh wrenches. For many years, Craftsman was the most popular, but now I believe Pittsburgh is the most popular, or one of the most popular tools in America. So I was
Craftsman was the company. Craftsman was from Sears, right?
Craftsman was from Sears. Yeah, Craftsman was considered to be the best tool you could buy because if Craftsman, excuse me, if you broke a Craftsman tool, all you had to do was take it back to Sears and they would give you another one, brand new one. No questions asked, no anything. You just walked into Sears, you brought the old tool in, and they gave you one to replace it. Lifetime guarantee, no questions asked.
No, wait, no questions at all. It was not even like, "Hi, how are you?"
Well, that's not a. Well, yeah, I guess that is a question, but no, but no questions about why you exchanged it, how did you break it, what you do, did you put too much torque on this thing? How exactly is this? Do you feel that this thing is broken through our fault or anything of that? No, nothing. Just here you go. You bring in the old one, we give you the new one.
So I see your New York Mets T-shirt. It reminds me of something that happened to me in terms of baseball yesterday. I lost my spirit for about an inning. Giants were ahead 5-3. It's the 8th inning, and we're ready to go. Let's get a couple outs. We got this one in the bag. Boom. The Cubs in Wrigley Field tie it up. It's 5-5 in the 9th inning. And I lose my spirit. I go, these bastards. What are they thinking? What are they doing? What kind of nonsense is this? You give up a lead in the 9th inning. Lo and behold, we get to the 11th inning, and the Giants score 9 runs. It sets a record for most extra innings, most runs scored in an extra inning in Wrigley Field history. And that's a field with a lot of history. But no one had put together 9 runs in the 11th inning before. The Giants did it last night and won 14-5, and it was quite a turn of events and quite a few runs scored. People were saying, "Please save some of those runs for tomorrow," like they do. But apparently, the Giants asked the umpires, and you can't save runs for tomorrow.
No, you
You're
can't.
aware that you knew that, right?
Yeah, Michael, you're a baseball fan for a long time. What's the credo? What's the word that you've always heard? Every play-by-play announcer that's ever announced a baseball game, from
Red Baba
to the KDKA days of the Pittsburgh Pirates in the World Series in 1919 or whatever it is, when Marconi was the engineer. What's the word?
He was reliable. Marconi lived at the station. He was always there.
And I'll paraphrase Ralph Kiner here. We're here coming to you live from Wrigley Field in Chicago, where no lead is safe. Same thing with Fenway Park. Any American League announcer will say to you, but we're in Wrigley Field where no lead is safe. 2 of the ballparks, and probably the only 2 ballparks that remain that play much to the advantage of the hitter.
There's Denver.
Yeah, Denver. Yeah. Okay, you could throw Denver in there, but no lead is safe.
No lead is safe
in those ballparks. So, while it surprises me that 9 runs is the max number of runs scored in an extra inning, only because I can't imagine that there hasn't been a team before that hasn't gone in there and whacked the ball around with all of the incredible players that have played in Wrigley Field as their home field, and and gone to extra innings. I mean, think of some of those 60s Cubby teams with Ernie Banks and those great
Williams.
Yes, Billy Williams and Ernie Banks and Don Kessinger and those Ron Santo, third base, those incredible 60s Chicago, Seattle zone, Ron Santo. It's hard to believe that amount of runs hadn't been scored in an extra inning game.
Was he a Bellevue product? That always made me laugh. He's a product? Yeah, he's a Bellevue product.
Valley guy. I think it's because his sister used to, I believe his sister used to call our show.
You're right. I remember that now.
They were from the Rainier Valley. They were from Guinea Gulch, as it was affectionately known back then, and that's where
that's where he got his first hits. That's where he learned to pick up a ground. That's where he learned to pick up a ground ball at third on the hot corner.
On the hill there, just east of 6th Stadium. That was put up there by Emil Sick.
He got in the mood, and nothing could dissuade him. And by the time he was finished with his Harbor Freight hammer with 4 heads, he had a stadium there.
He had built a stadium. Him, the hammer, and some lumber. That's the great thing about baseball is, you used to have guys that would just throw a stadium up wherever they wanted to throw a stadium up.
Like Emeryville, the most unlikely place on the planet for a damn baseball stadium. AAA, Oakland Oaks, and Emeryville of all things.
Yes, they are putting a stadium up there, aren't they? Or gonna, or was it there?
That's where they tore it down.
In the what do you call it? The Coliseum, but I don't know how long that's going to last.
something will come up and they'll tear it down and put up a white front.
The Oakland Ballers, that's who they are.
Oh,
An independent league team. The Oakland Ballers. I don't know how they're doing. But
did they play the Sonoma Crush?
Yeah, they're kind of that same deal, except they're playing in the Oakland Coliseum. So even if you draw 5,000 people, it's going to be it's going to be an empty looking stadium. That Sonoma County deal. Now I don't know if that little stadium is still there. If they still play in, there used to be that stadium was just was it south of Katati? Kind of. It was right there before you got to Petaluma, but south of Katati. So it was right in that, right along 101 there.
The New Guinea Gulch.
Well, see, I think the Guinea Gulch up there, though, was much more toward
Vallejo.
That's where the Gallo boys and Siskin brothers were hanging out.
And they hung out.
Yeah, no, they had the area locked up. But so I was watching the conclave stuff this morning. What was available, and I got to say, if you want great information, if you're one of the people that want to watch this, and the pageantry is pretty cool of what's going on.
Especially when they finally stop praying and close the doors. Let's close these doors and get to work.
Right, which will happen tomorrow after they have a mass early in the morning. Now, don't forget, early in the morning there is like middle of the night here. But
I didn't realize they vote 4 times tomorrow.
I didn't realize that either.
2 morning, 2 evening.
The place to watch it, and I know that CBS and NBC and everybody seems to be on the Watch Us, but I watched the coverage from the EWTN, which is the Catholic network.
Oh, they got special Catholic cameras.
They have Catholic cameras that make the sign of the cross before they transmit. But the depth of knowledge, and I got to hand it to the people that they have commenting. They know what they're talking about.
I should hope so. Nobody else does.
Yeah, but most of the like, if you got 2 people, they have, I don't know, like Channel 2 sent Mary Calvi over. This is Channel 2 in New York. Sent Mary Calvi over to Rome to anchor their coverage. Now, she might be a good Catholic woman. She may go to church, but she doesn't have the depth of knowledge on this that these people from the Catholic network have. They know the players. And it's interesting.
Were they predicting anybody?
Say again?
Were they predicting any favorites that we should know about?
No, they're not. They're just kind of what I kind of like, actually, is that they're not predicting favorites. They're laying out who the most likelies are, and then who the second tier is, and then who the Pope kind of put in positions before he passed away, because he did some,
did some shuffling.
We're going to put you here to be this so that you get exposure. One of the things that you learned by listening to the EWTN this morning is that the Pope had a handpicked envoy to be the person who was trying to bring peace to the Ukraine-Russian conflict. And that person was handpicked over the Secretary of State of the Vatican, because the Pope wanted to put him in a position to be noticed, to be, by the other cardinals. So, it's a crazy ass thing, but it
really is. Oh, it's so much fun to watch. And the funny thing is, when you look back on it, most people don't know the Pope when he gets elected. It'll be Pope Vinnie, We go, where did he come from? What the heck? I never heard of Pope Vinnie. No, he was in line for a long time. He was groomed. He was, but we never saw him anywhere. Well, he was always there. He was just always part of the action. It's a good choice. He's a reasonable guy. He's a consensus leader. He'll take them to the next step, and it'll be somebody you've never heard of who's got this reputation that you were unaware of.
Well, it's interesting, if you look down the name, and the guy I've kind of, where is the? Let's see. I wonder. I didn't look to see if they were selling Conclave T-shirts,
I want one.
or anything like that. Yeah, but there's guys that you wanna put your money on, and this is only because I love to eat an Italian food. Is Matteo Zuppi, whose name means soup in Italian, Zuppi, and
You like sitting on the Zuppy?
he's and Pier Battista Pizzaballa is the other guy that you got to put some money on. I think that he is. I think between Pizzaballa and Zuppi, one of those guys may be the next pope.
Hey, after they burn the ballots and it's a black smoke, right. And you got to go on. Do all the cardinals get a little sticker they put on their thing that says "I voted"?
Yeah, I think they do actually. Well, it's funny. I didn't know this until today, but there's a specific person assigned that has to go through before the cardinals can leave for the day during the conclave. Has to go around and pick up all of the garbage and burn the garbage.
I mean, they're doing like sunflower seeds in the aisle?
They don't want any of the whatever was in there to get out because it's, they take the secret ballot thing seriously. So this one cat has the job of just walking around and making sure he collects all the garbage, all the trash cans, everything before anybody can go.
Beer, cold beer, sunflower seeds.
Yeah, and then he has to go pick up the used sunflower seeds. But once I heard Matteo Zuppi or Pier Battista Pizzaballa, I said to myself, one of these guys, and either of these guys, that if they get it, you got to hope that they keep their name. That it's, Pope Pizzaballa. I mean, how could you not love that?
That would be hot. That would be something.
How could you not love Pope Pizzaballa?
Well, the Italians have got a contingent this time around. They haven't had an Italian pope for 47 years, so this is going to be a time to go back to the roots, back to a nice Italian boy named Giuseppe.
Yeah, it seems that they have 3 at least out of the top 7 candidates. It'd be interesting to see if one, you have, I mean, the outside chances are Turkson from Ghana. There's a couple of guys in the United States. There's Prevost, and there's also Cardinal Dolan from New York, who is being mentioned as I guess there are like some main candidates and there are some compromise candidates.
Well, so I'm not excited because I'm not Catholic to that extent. I'm very curious and will pay close attention to the pageantry and the ritual and the explanation of why one guy was chosen over another.
Oh yeah, and let's face it. What other election that you? Oh, by the way, it's an early result. Not a result. It's an early prediction. But I think tomorrow morning, when the windows open, that Donald Trump will have dropped to 1,000 to 1 shot.
He does seem like a long shot at this point.
Yeah, yeah. Right now he's sitting at about 500 to 1.
He's going
And
to
I
move the
think,
Vatican City to Greenland. Another good
well,
idea.
yeah, that's the thing is popes, modern day popes. Now, I guess at one time this was okay, but modern day popes are not supposed to be able to want to take over countries. That's stuff that was kind of for the Inquisition and stuff like that.
They did a lot. Plus, they've done that. They've done a lot of that. Nation building. Just to get
Yeah,
your own house in order, for crying out tears.
exactly. You have enough problems over there in the United States. Don't come over here and screw up our little thing here at the Vatican City. I mean, we have soldiers that walk around in striped suits. Um, you
And they're
know,
from Switzerland, so they're not taking any mess. They're not Italian boys. Those are all Swiss boys
right,
who don't have a sense of humor about things.
right. Those hatchets are real. I mean, those
Oh
those
yeah.
those hatchets they're walking around with are not, um, are not rubber. I mean,
When they hold it like this, that's one thing. When they hold it like that, that's another matter.
yeah. If you're holding it in that side manner that looks like you're ready to swing it, yeah, you could be in trouble quickly.
You got to
And they have
negotiate if you
no
have any negotiating power.
right, and they have no problem because they have not many people know this, but the Supreme Court gave them immunity as well as Donald Trump.
Oh yeah, they're like 007. They have
Yeah, if
license to
your head
kill.
gets whacked by a Swiss guard,
It stays whacked.
pick it up and go home. Just put it in a
The
box and get out of there.
Now, if we had a pope, he would try to talk sense to India and Pakistan. You guys have hated each other since you were formed. You've always been at each other's throats. Don't go to war. Just continue this crazy relationship you have, where nobody gets along with anybody. It's never going to happen. It's never going to be considered. There's not going to be peace, but there doesn't have to be war. You guys have figured that out. So just do it the way you used to do it. Don't do it this way.
Yeah, and with both of these countries,
Be
with
sick
nuclear
and tired of each other. Yeah, that's not a good idea.
it just doesn't.
That's not comforting.
Right. These guys seem like, well, both countries with nuclear weapons and a perceived ability to use them at any time.
Well, the thing is, Pakistan joins right up to the border of India. So if you use a nuclear weapon on them, you're using it on yourself. And that seems to be a self-defeating proposition.
Yeah, but I think that there's a lot of people who feel like the reward comes in the afterlife.
Oh, well, that's pretty much a guesstimate, but I see what you mean. Yeah.
And while they may think that that's true for them, me, I don't believe that so much. I believe that, things are pretty good here before we hit the afterlife, and that we should take advantage of what we got instead of trying to get to the afterlife as quickly as possible.
Plus, it's Pakistan, India. Nobody ever talks about Bangladesh. Bangladesh used to be East Pakistan. No more.
Yeah.
You got Pakistan, Bangladesh, India. Does Bangladesh not even get in the fight? Come on. What do you guys feel about life?
Well,
do you feel are they
well,
quiet,
still
calm,
living
and
off
collected?
the money from the concert.
Yeah, those monies are still trickling in.
Yeah, they still have a sizable amount in the World Bank from the concert for Bangladesh, and I guess they get royalties on the song.
Oh yeah.
So now I don't know
Every
the
time you
last
buy-
time I heard that song on a radio station. I mean, do you?
No, that's a good question. I don't know what the BMI payment on that is, but it can't be too much.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't seem like there would be a whole hell of a lot that they would get off of that. But and then there was the movie, which was a great movie because it documented really what was the first
Super
of
concert.
all of these benefit concerts. I mean, that was kind of the original one, right?
And they did a good job too.
Did a great job. I mean, it was a great concert. They had every big name that was around flocked to New York to be part of that. George Harrison, got to put that thing together on kind of a wing and a prayer.
He just got on the phone and called a bunch of people, called Clapton, called
right. Everybody
Dylan,
paid their own way to get there, and everybody
Badfinger, Billy Preston,
you got
Leon
hotel
Russell.
room, but not much more. And I think
I got the hotel. If you get yourself to New York, don't fly into Newark, by the way. Try to stay out of Newark.
Don't fly into LaGuardia because it'll take you long enough to get there from there. And just get yourself to the Warwick, and there'll be a room with your name on it there. Wait.
You will be charged for all the drinks in the little refrigerator.
Yeah, the Rolling Stones have the sixth floor. Everybody else can take whatever room you want. So, but that was, I mean, I still remember that concert and that whole deal. And
that was Madison Square.
Yeah, it was Madison Square Garden, and it was funny because it didn't really blip on the screen of stuff happening in New York. I mean,
it was a busy weekend.
If I remember right, it didn't even sell out.
Wow.
You could have actually walked up to the box office in New York and bought tickets for it. And
sit in the back, show a little respect, get a T-shirt.
Yeah. I actually you know what? I don't even think they had merchandise there. I don't remember there being any kind of I just don't think they didn't do merchandise in those days.
Hi, I'm Ravi Shankar. I shop at Harbor Freight.
Yeah, I mean, I don't ever remember, getting I mean, you couldn't buy a T-shirt at Woodstock. If you see somebody with a Woodstock T-shirt, it was either a staff T-shirt
or you got one at Target.
They bought it, years after. I'm trying to think of other events. I mean, I don't remember seeing T-shirts for any kind of benefit concerts until, I want to say, I mean, I don't remember. I guess Farm Aid might have been some of the first ones.
Wow.
But I went to quite a few of the concerts that were at Madison Square Garden and at the Felt Forum, and I don't ever remember T-shirts or merch.
Merch was not a deal. Yeah, merch was not a deal then.
It was just not a big thing. I know that they had them. They had some stuff at the Fillmore East that you could buy. But it was basically Fillmore East T-shirts, and you could get posters.
Right.
And
I think there were posters for Woodstock, but there weren't a lot of them.
Weren't a lot of them around. They were basically the posters for Woodstock. I remember this were the things that they stuck on the side of. In New York in the 60s and the 70s, they had, the construction sites, and then people would plaster those bills, because there were signs there that said post no bills. And of course, everybody posted bills over those.
Posted right over the sign that says post no bills. Kept the city looking current and colorful.
Well, let you know what was going on. You always knew what was happening somewhere.
Some film was opening tonight in town.
I have in my collection of stuff, I have a bill for a Stevie Wonder concert that I actually, because I liked the poster, I actually saw the guy putting the poster up and went around the corner. And when he left, I took the poster down, carefully took the poster down. And laid it in the back trunk of my car with the glue side up so the glue would dry. And
Bob's your uncle.
and I had my Stevie Wonder at the Felt. I think it was the Stevie Wonder at the Felt Forum. And it was funny because he was the opening act.
Huh.
Yeah, if you can believe that, for the Rolling Stones.
Oh yeah, I believe that.
So that was quite an interesting go for Stevie, stay for the Stones.
That was in Manhattan or Queens.
That was in Manhattan. That was at Madison Square Garden. It was I believe Get Your Yayas Out was the tour. Was the I think that was so what that would have been 72, I think, 73, something like that.
With the best version of Midnight Rambler.
Yes.
So you heard about the Midnight Rambler. It's not one of those. All the rhythm changes in that, beautifully done.
And I think it was called,
well, I heard about the midnight.
Stones.
Everybody got to go. Love it.
They were so good. The Stones were so good, and the thing I always liked about the Stones is they rolled with the punches, man. Whatever was going on, they it wasn't we're rockers or we're this. I mean, they were as comfortable putting out a 12-inch disco version of "Miss You" as they were. It's like a great song, man. It's like the do 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 do, one of the great road songs of all time. You just drive it along.
Charlie breaking it down.
Yeah. Yeah, just yeah. That and Waiting for a Friend, and I mean, the video for Waiting for a Friend where Jagger and the boys are hanging out on the stoop of what appears to be a place in Hell's Kitchen.
An old brownstone from the kitchen.
Yeah, an old brownstone in Hell's Kitchen. I mean, that's. It looks natural. It looks like that. It doesn't look like it's staged. Looks like you could be walking down the street and there'd be Mick in a long white pants and a hat, just standing on the stoop, waiting for his connection to come by.
Waiting for a friend. That's all.
I'm just wait on a friend. Boop boop boop. Anyway, yeah, that was a great time. Yeah, it was just it was before it all got screwed up. I don't know. The 80s just seemed to screw everything up. And the 90s, really, even the 80s, they were still great. You could still go online and wait online and get a ticket to a show.
No, forget about it. Every show's sold out.
There's no more waiting online. I miss those days of lining up at the record store on Sunday morning. Or Saturday night. You'd go out and then the tickets would drop on Sunday morning, and you'd be there and waiting in line for a day or two. I mean, I remember waiting. I still have my front page of the Examiner, where I'm on the front page holding in my Mets jacket, by the way, holding my Springsteen tickets for the Born in the USA tour that I got at the Record Factory on Market Street.
Not Licorice Pizza, huh?
No. Well, was there a Licorice Pizza in San Francisco?
I think just L.A.
Yeah, no, yeah. I think in L.A., in San Francisco, it was either Tower Records, where was
Warehouse Records,
Record Factory, and there was one other. Was it Macy's? One of the department stores had I think it was Ticketmaster. No, it was Bass.
Bass, yeah.
I think Bass,
Bay
Bay
Area
Area
super,
Service or something like that.
Bay Area secret tickets.
Yeah, back when you could still get tickets when it didn't automatically go into a. But you could, but again, if you wanted to stand online, you could get tickets. All you had to do is be willing to stand online or have somebody stand online for you.
Now in San Francisco, people stand in line, but in New York, they stand online.
True. True. Well, now you wouldn't because now online means you're on the computer.
Right.
You're online, so you wouldn't be in line anymore. I miss those days, though, man. You had a lot of had great times. I mean, you were hanging out, you met people. People were talking to each other. It was all fans of one band usually that were hanging out.
With stories of other shows they'd seen.
Stories about the shows, and I knew a bunch of people that actually met while waiting online, and had gone out with each other for one couple, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and I knew in San Francisco was still together, and they met on a line for one of the Day on the Greens. Because you could,
Aerosmith, AC/DC, and the Tubes.
yeah, for Day on the Green, you could again wait online for tickets at Tower Records. Tower, yeah, that's another. What's in that spot now? I wonder.
I don't think anything.
That was a cool corner. That corner,
Bay in Columbus.
Bay in Columbus, man. I mean, well, I forget what time they opened up in the morning, but I know they were open until midnight. And many a lonely Saturday night I spent in Tower Records, just going up and down the aisles looking at stuff.
Of course. What a
I
show.
didn't even end up buying stuff. Just going through and looking and seeing
They
what
knew
was.
if they got you in the door, you were going to buy something.
Yeah, usually. Although I always really like the used record shops better
Oh yeah, of course.
because you got more bang for your buck. And they used to have some pretty good stuff. There was what were the two places I like? Searchlight, which there was one on Market off of Castro, and I think one was on Polk or something like that.
Remember the ones in Marin? Solid Smoke owned record stores in Center Fell and somewhere else.
No, I don't know if I remember those. No, I mean I remember obviously in Mill Valley, Sweetwater,
Village Music.
Village Music. Yeah, it was next to Sweetwater. Um, I'm trying to think of a couple of others. There was, and then there was another one that was on Haight, and I think John Kuhn worked there. Our good friend John Kuhn
Mm-hmm.
worked at one on Haight that I think was, and I can't remember the name of it. It wasn't Searchlight. It was something else. But we used to spend hours going to used record stores, man, and just piling through the inventory, depending on what I was looking for.
And you always had a list of things in your mind that you always checked in every used record shop.
Always baseball music, man. Always would just search and search and search for. And in those days, you didn't have like the lists like you have now, where every out you can just put in Google baseball songs, and 100 songs will come up. You had to look for them. Then you had to look at the back of. You would have to go and say, okay, who's the 10 most likely artists who would have written baseball songs? And you heard Huey Lewis was a baseball fan, and Warren Zevon was a baseball fan, and this guy was a baseball fan, and this. So you'd go and you'd look, and you'd pull every album, and you'd look at the back of the album for song titles that
B-sides.
Might have something to do with baseball. That was mining for baseball songs. Not like it is, it has been in the last few years where you could basically find just about anything you wanted to. But I always had like 25 things that I was looking for in my head that I could walk into a used record store at any moment and look for those 25 things.
It's a good place to start. And while you're looking for those, you find something else.
Exactly. But you always had, there were certain songs that I hadn't heard in a long time that was always in my head. Like, a certain version of this song or a certain song that they used to play on WNEW that I hadn't heard since I left New York. Or there was
Memo
always
from Turner.
Or different bootlegs of different concerts. Remember, you used to have to, now if you want a concert, you just go onto YouTube and you type it in, and chances are it's going to come up.
There it is.
But in those days, man, you had to look for the bootlegs.
Yeah.
And luckily, Springsteen was one of the most bootlegged artists out there.
And that's why the radio was so valuable. It kept you in touch with that playlist that you couldn't make on your own.
Yeah, and the biggest, and the biggest bootlegs in those days, for the most part, were stuff that had been broadcast over the radio. Like, remember that Springsteen concert that was in 70. Oh man, I don't know. I forget what it was. But it was like 70. It was the first concert, I think, after the Troubles. And they did it live from Winterland. And I think all the Metro media stations carried it.
Oh yeah.
And that thing was all over the place. You could buy. I still have my bootleg copy of that. Black box with, there was several different printings of the cover.
Mixes. But sometimes different mixes too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Good crisp. A lot of them were recorded off of the radio. Somebody recorded off the radio and then took it to a plant and pressed it hot off the radio. But there were people that had board, had different board mixes of it.
This is the house mix. This is the parking lot mix. You're going to like it.
Right. Yeah. This is the first show mix. This is the second show mix. It was amazing how many different. It was, and what was really cool, man. I don't know, to me, I don't know about you, but I always just liked the underground network. Who was the guy in San Francisco, man? It had he had everything. Hank London. Remember Hank?
Yeah.
Hank had, if you wanted something, a show, Hank knew where to get it.
All the live shows from the KSAN.
From everywhere. He had them. If there was a live show of Rockpile in Santa Cruz, the one time they came through, Hank knew where to get a bootleg of it. Oh yeah, I got a guy.
I know the guy who mixed that, yeah.
And he did. He knew the guy who was the board operator at not the board operator, but the sound engineer, and I'm shortchanging him. Lee, the guy who was the board the sound engineer at the Great American Music Hall. He had like phenomenal connections everywhere.
Of course.
if there was a show that happened in the Bay Area and you wanted it, and you wanted a tape of it, he knew where to get it. Really good guy too. Lee is. I'm still friends with him on Facebook. I can't remember his last name for the life of me now, but he is a great guy, and he just these guys knew where everything was.
It always comes off the house mix.
Yeah, you could call him up and say, "I need a tape of this show." That happened at the Santa Rosa. You could say, "I need the Starship," the show that Mickey Thomas got into a fight with somebody in the audience in the front row
At the Katavi Cafe.
Give me 24 hours. In 24 hours, you call you. I got the tape for you.
You wanted reel to reel, yeah.
He had it. He knew where to get. He knew where to get it, man. It was like a network of sound engineers, but everybody knew. My friend JD still has boxes and boxes of tapes of shows that are probably all now on.
I got
YouTube.
I got boxes of Mikey and Vinnie cassettes.
Yeah, I do too. I got a ton of Mikey and Vinnie's. I got a bunch. I got a box full of KKCY cassettes, unscoped shows, that were mostly Sunday morning shows, but a few others too. But I forgot to tell you, man. You know who was listening to us the other day?
Who?
Sent me a note. Our buddy Tom Yates.
Really?
Yeah, he sent me a note in the comments.
Fascinating. I'd love to hear one of his shows.
Yeah, I wonder. I'm sure they're doing okay down there. I don't even know who. I know they're still obviously on the air, but
Well, they got Dredd in the morning, and Kate follows Dredd. I don't know. Yates is in the evening.
Is Dredd still there, or did he? I thought I heard that he had left.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But I'm not sure. It was something I heard that somebody had said to me, but I'm not. I'm not as plugged in. I guess I could go to the website and it would tell me, right?
KOZT, the coast.
KOZT. I was down there a couple of years ago, like 2 years ago, and I tried to get a hold of him, and I had to get going because I wanted to go by and see them.
Because it takes a while to get into Mendocino. It takes a while to get out.
Yeah. Let's see. What do we got here? On the Coast, Coast Store, Coast Guard, featured programs, the Coast People. Yep. Nope, he's still there. Dred Scott, Kate Hayes, Tom Yates, Hugh Connolly, Vicky Watts, Sam Russell.
I'm glad to hear they're all still going at it.
Yeah. Yeah. And Joe Rogelski, who was just nominated for the Bay Area Radio Hall of Fame.
So there's Lisa Carr from K-Town.
Yeah. So quite a few people.
She was alive. She was alive 105.
Yeah. Good God, Joe Rogelski. He's got to be like 200 years old, Joe, doesn't he? You think about it. Joe Rogelski was Alex's news guy, Alex Bennett. Damn, we're old.
We're getting there.
Good God.
Vinnie, well, let's meet on Friday, shall we? It'll be a freaky fractious Friday.
Yeah, let's see if we can last until Friday. Can we
Can we put it together? If they can sell a hammer with 4 heads, we can make it to Friday.
Wow, look at this. The Coast is looking for a sales manager. Previous sales, you think I could get a job there?
You'd be a good sales manager.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd be a good sales. I mean, I at one time I thought I was, but now I don't know. Yeah, you have to be ruthless. And I lost my roof a long time ago.
But in that environment, ruthless doesn't sell.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, you can get the Coast on Alexa. Now, if I get Alexa, I'll make sure I do. All right, let's hook up on Friday morning. What do you say?
It'll be freaky. It'll be fractious.
It'll be wonderful. It'll be a bed of roses, and we'll both be romping through it. All right, I will see you on Friday, if the Lord's willing and the creek don't rise.
If the Indians don't destroy the planet with their nuclear weapons, thank you very much for not doing that.
Yeah, please talk to each other. Try to come up with some kind of
a workaround for religious differences.
Yes, something. Don't blow all. I mean, wait a week and you'll have a new pope, and the pope can go over there and talk to everybody.
And do this.
Calm stuff down.
I don't know why they use two. Why do they have 2 fingers?
One of these.
It's not 1 finger because that's like hey. 2 fingers.
Yeah, at least 2. I think. Yeah.
I don't know why.
I think the 5 is the preferred. You know, you have the
full 5.
The full 5 and double action. This and this. If you get all of that in, you're usually okay.
You guys can practice some resistance. See you, Vin.
Peace, love, and Manischewitz, Mikey.
What a wine, baby. See you then.
All right. Take care. Thank you all for listening, too, as well. We'll catch up with you on Friday morning at 10:10.
So be it.